So this is really a talk for people to learn more about Eco Exchange, which is a worker-owned cooperative, and our connection with Greenbelt Co-op, our co-op supermarket, and how we work together and how Eco Exchange works in the country and
What is
other
Eco
countries.
Exchange?
Yeah, we'll talk about that. That'll all get answered. Yeah, we'll get there.
It's a national program.
It's a company, a worker-owned cooperative, and Rink's going to
You see
describe it
those
far better
products?
for me.
They're from Equal Exchange. We're a,
The
See
what?
that brand?
see that those chocolate bars? They're from a company that's a worker co-op with 100 members.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
That's us.
those are our products, and we sell to a lot of food co-ops, and we've been working with.
So you are Equal Exchange.
The two of us work at Equal Exchange.
We own it. We're co-owners with 100 other
Worker
people.
co-op, just like work co-op.
With how many other people?
100 other people.
Is he a member?
No.
No. Dan's a
Because
member
we're a
of.
consumer cooperative.
Yep.
I work at the consumer cooperative with Greenbelt Co-op. So. But I think we'll do an introduction here in a minute.
Okay, all right.
And I think many things will be answered and you'll understand what we're doing. But for the most part, it's just a conversation. There's some stuff that we've been doing together that may be of interest to people. Rink has a lot of background in Nicole around the challenges of the supply chain in general, but especially in the past couple of years and especially in the past year. There's some USAID activity that Equal Exchange was involved in that they're going to talk about. So it's kind of just a chance to talk about cooperation, supply chain, and the cool stuff about that, and also the challenges that are within that. So that's pretty much what we're going to do. So maybe we should just start.
Great.
You want to take it?
So Nicole and I work at Equal Exchange. We are a worker co-op. We're an alternative trade organization. And our goal is to pay farmers in the global south / the peripheral. So countries like Nicaragua or Peru or India or Sri Lanka. Small farmers there, we want to give them more money, more control over the market. We've been doing this since 1986. To do that, we have to build some sort of supply chain that can compete with really small micro roasters, coffee companies, but macro companies that are 500 times our size. So how do you pay farmers more and compete in the market? In a lot of ways, that's the challenge we've given ourselves. We've had a lot of success. We've had a lot of struggles too. So just a quick overview. And it's by working with consumer food co-ops in the U.S. across the country, which there are about 200, 180.
Yeah, sure.
That's been one of the two key groups that's allowed us to do this, along with some capital, some luck, some good management. So we're here working with Greenbelt on a new initiative, and we're here to just talk to you guys and have conversations.
Yeah, and so I've been working in food co-op since 1993, and I've actually bought Equal Exchange coffee and other products in 3 different food co-ops. I remember I told Nicole, but I didn't tell you that. I talked to Keith on the phone. I called Keith and talked to
Of course.
get orders from him. So I've been Equal Exchange has been part of my whole co-op career. I would say, and not, but that they're like foundational to like the fair trade movement. If you've heard of fair trade, I think Equal Exchange has a large share of the reason why that existed and continues to be a thing people care about. Though they're doing other stuff that goes further and beyond that, I would say at this point. But if you've ever thought about fair trade or heard of fair trade, there's a good chance that Equal Exchange was at most of the tables that started those conversations and made that stuff happen. So they've been really important as a company that's out there that's doing good things all the time, has historically done it, continues to do it. And so, like personally at my house, our coffee's Equal Exchange. Even though I love Zeke's, I buy Equal Exchange because I've been buying it forever and I'm connected to them as a company and a cooperative. I think that they're one of those companies you don't really have to wonder like when you're buying from them. And there's so much consolidation and people buying companies up and whatever, you can sort of trust in Equal Exchange, and that's why I've been a big fan. And I was excited to work with them more deeply. This started this past spring or summer. When we had the chance as part of that to say, well, come up and let's meet with people from Greenbelt. I get to show off Greenbelt. One of my contractually obligated jobs as a resident of Greenbelt is to proselytize about Greenbelt, and so I think I did that pretty well so far.
It's been amazing.
There's
We got
still
more to
tomorrow.
do,
There's
but-
still tomorrow. Oh,
Yeah, we got more to do, but I got a pretty good start. And in particular, I think all the people in the country, in our country that I know that are cooperatively minded are really excited to hear about the cooperative mindset of Greenbelt, and so that's been really fun to sort of introduce Rick and Nicole to as well. But if you don't know, I'm the general manager of Greenbelt Co-op Supermarket and Pharmacy, and we're just right over one of those directions. Yeah, that way. So, and we sell Equal Exchange, we sell a lot of other cool stuff. You want to talk about, you want to throw a question at us?
Well, I might be helpful for people to understand when we're talking about like just our supply chain and how it works. I'm sure anybody here buy from a local farmer or farmer's market or no local farmers?
Yeah, sure, I know. Everybody do.
Everybody?
There we go. I was hoping that might be the case. So around a lot of products that you can't buy locally, like coffee, tea, cocoa, like how do you have a relationship or know anything about those products when, quite frankly, we probably eat those and drink those a lot more than even the local products that we have. So we have relationships with farmer co-ops, as Ring said, sort of all over the world, but for these particular products and commodities, where it's hard to kind of put a name and a face on them. And so that's sort of what started the story of Equal Exchange. And I don't know, maybe you could talk about that a little bit, Ring?
Yeah, I think what I'd want to highlight, and I'm going to do some condensed things here. How many people know something about Equal Exchange? Just for, awesome, that's great. So basically, the three of us who started it worked in a food co-op warehouse. And there used to be like 25 food co-op warehouses, right? So we just said there's 180 stores across the country now. There's basically 1 to 2 co-op warehouses left. All those co-op warehouses had to compete with bigger warehouses and eventually weren't able to succeed. The three of us left that organization when it was quite successful still. And because we were intrigued with people who were buying coffee, tea, and other products from small farmers internationally. We were like, these are the folks who really need access, right? So all the food co-ops were doing a good job buying from local farmers, and we were doing a lot of that. And we're like, internationally, the degree of exploitation and lack of control of the market is dramatically higher. Let's do something crazy enough to try to build a supply chain like that. And so we paid ourselves almost nothing, right? Year one, we made $7,000 salary, right? We raised capital, which I think is a really important thing moving forward. We took huge risk, which is also a theme I would get back to. And we had sales of $112,000 in year one and lost $30,000. So I couldn't be further out there than we were, and it was like this thing, and I knew this thing wouldn't work. I was very clear, but I was like, I have to give it everything I have, and it won't work, but I have to try to do this thing. Somehow by year 3, it kind of got near break-even. And we fought for every resource we had, and at that time, fair trade was almost unknown.
So what year is this, roughly?
This is 86, 87, 88, right? By come back about 7, 8 years later, all of a sudden fair trade is starting to happen. And so we were positioned where we were one of the few organizations in the country that knew about what is fair trade coffee, what is fair trade tea, how would I get this thing? So as this movement grew, we positioned ourselves to be able to grow with that. We had a capital model. Right? So a lot of the co-ops that we work with, there's not enough capital. Right? I think in Greenbelt, we should have more investment. We should have more capital. All of us as consumers have some amount of money. More of our patronage should go, more of our buying should go to Greenbelt, but more of our investment too. And then we can ask Greenbelt to do more for us, right? It's kind of the circle of what you're trying to, you need a group to take risks, to change things, to make the world work better, right? So Equal Exchange was kind of set up to do that, and was very lucky and was able to do that. So if year one sales were 112,000, like come back like 10 years later, sales were like 5 million. And we had maybe 15 people. And we were breaking even. And we were paying farmers double the market price at that point. There was, farmers were being literally starved off the land in terms of cost. Cost of production was double the market price. And we were paying a fair price during that time, and it was economically really, really challenging. But because we had a capital model, we were able to keep investing in that. It all flipped and the market conditions got higher, and all of a sudden we were positioned to grow. So at some point we hit 10 million in sales. We go from 10 million to 20 million in 3 years. And we go from 20 million to 30 million in 4 years. So now you're sort of at this different scale. But we had the same goal, right? So all of a sudden we had more resources. We were paying ourselves more than $7,000 a year, but it was still pretty modest. And we had committed people who were trying to find a way to leverage the market.
Well, I think it's worth noting, like, and you should tell me if I'm wrong about this, but essentially, like, the coffee historically has been the people that are growing it and producing it get nothing, and then somebody in the middle gets a fair amount, and then the grocery store gets some. Essentially, is sort of how it works. And so the Equal Exchange model was saying, well, we're going to pay that farmer or producer a lot more of the cut. So they're not, no one's like, you know, rolling in the dough, but they're getting, it's fair. It's the idea that you're getting
More fair.
more fair, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was never going to be the way. Like, it was always going to be exploited forever, except that some groups, like the Exchange, got in and said, no, we need to change this. And then our food co-ops, I think, got to start to tell the story about why that mattered. Like, you could make a pretty small difference at the breakfast table and say, I'm gonna buy fair trade coffee from Equal Exchange and make a difference to people that, you know, we ostensibly care about it. So that's an easy change to go from you know, one brand of coffee to another brand of coffee that actually pays people fairly. And that becomes like the model that I think food co-ops could help Equal Exchange and their growth to where they got. And it helped our food co-ops too, because we became the place people could trust to get those things and represent those things. They should be in here. This is exciting stuff we're talking about.
And if I can add to that too, I mean, think about how it works at the farm level, right? Like, the farmers own their own land, right? So that's a key component in this model, in this fair trade model, is farmers owning their own land, and together, not any one farm is going to have enough coffee to export, right? So there's like a reason that everybody is part of a co-op, right? Not necessarily because they're like, wow, these cooperative ideals are so amazing. Yes, but it's more like there's a practicality to banding together with all of our products so we can reach an export market. And we own this cooperative business that is exporting. So to Dan's point, it's not just somebody with money that's coming around saying, well, I'll buy from you at this amount, and I'll buy from you at that amount, and I'll pay cash now when you need cash. I mean, coffee is a once-a-year harvest. So the capital model that Ring's talking about is a really important piece of this, right? Because we pre-harvest, so we pay in advance, sometimes 6 months or more, so that the co-op has money to help farmers have income in that part throughout the year. And also just the fact of that land ownership, that business ownership, and that democratic aspect of negotiating with somebody like Equal Exchange over our contract, the price, the terms, how much coffee, a good year, a bad year, like all of that communication that would ordinarily be kept to a middleman who would make the money off of that and hold the power dynamics. That's sort of what's important in here. And in the capital being like a patient capital, meaning people aren't looking for a quick return on that investment and aren't looking for, as Equal Exchange is growing from 5 million to 20 million, oh, all of a sudden I'm now going to cash out when that business is sold, I'm going to get a big windfall. It's not that. It's everybody that's involved is in this patient capital aspect, and also really thinking about how the money is working and benefiting whom, and used as either a power dynamic or a tool to actually create some equity in the system.
Yeah, it's wildly different than the venture capital model or even most capital models. Like, people are getting a dividend from y'all. They're getting some reasonable return, but it's not rapacious. And the people that are investing know that, but they're getting something fair along the way, and it's allowing them to do the good work that we want them to do. And so it's mutually beneficial. So you'll hear me talk a lot about like how co-ops working together to be mutually beneficial. You know, how can our businesses work together? How can our different entities work together to be mutually beneficial? And I think that's what Equal Exchange does with farmers and producers, and that's what it does with our food co-ops. I think that's really important as a different model, it's this alternative model that we're trying to create. The cooperative economy is better than it lives within the capitalist model, but it's not the Wall Street every quarter more and more rapaciously commoditizing everything. I think it's an important difference. So, sorry, I got a soapbox there.
No, that's great. That's great.
Can I
Yes.
ask a question? So if I understand correctly, it's like a model that we have here with a CSA share, right? So they put together a cooperative, and then the users just buy at the beginning of the season, and they give the money for the capital, sort of.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a different version of that with similar structures.
So how are the point of contacts between your company and do you deal with the co-op? Did
Yes.
you initially go directly to the farmers?
Yes.
How did that work?
So right now, literally, in Central America and Mexico, the coffee harvest is coming right now. A year ago, you were at a crazy high market that was going up faster than you could imagine. Now you're at a market that's coming right back down as fast as you can. So if you're a co-op and you have 2,000 members who are all coffee farmers, you are trying to figure out, everyone's trying to figure out what the price should be. So that co-op has to know who will buy from it, at what price, so they can buy from their members at that market price. It's extremely scary and dangerous right now. But that's the only way that cooperative can function. If they lose so much money in that process, say they say we're going to pay $1 and the price goes to 50 cents. These are not the real prices, but you can look up the real prices. They will not be able to function, right? On the other hand, if they're paying $1 and the guy down the street that Nicole's referring to is paying $2, no one will give them their coffee, even the co-op member. So these co-ops are fighting to deliver benefits to their members in an incredibly speculative commodity market.
Well, I think that
And there are thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of coffee farmers who are benefiting from this model, even though it's really challenging.
Yeah, I think that when the market's sky high, everybody can do great. But when the market is tanking is when they really need equal exchange and fair trade and whatnot, because that's the part where they're just doomed otherwise.
They won't have a co-op if they don't support the co-op in the rougher times. Then all of a sudden it won't be there when the market's down again, right?
Yep.
That's kind of the danger.
So it sounds like there's an annual cycle for coffee where
Yes.
when in the season where it's growing, is that the up? And then the season when it's being harvested,
It's not like that. It's more like it will keep moving wherever it's going to move, but it's an annual crop.
So
So
you sell it at one time,
Can you talk
essentially.
about why the price has been so high?
The price is high, but now coming down. It's a commodity. right? Just like gold,
Supply and
or
demand.
silver, or, you know, pork bellies, or corn, or soybeans. Who's actually driving that price up and down? Some of it is supply and demand, and some of it is speculation, right? Oil right now. What's going to be the price of oil in 2 months?
Right.
All these people are placing hundreds of millions of dollars of bets in each direction around that, right? Coffee is just as speculative as that. So if you're a small farmer, it's really scary to have your whole income based on, you have no certainty, right? What you'd want to be able to say is, hey, $3 a pound is a fair price. Why don't we buy from you for the next 5 years at $3 a pound? You'll make enough, and we'll be able to sell it to Dan, and everybody would make enough, and it should work. That would be the answer. But you can't get out of the market structure, so it's really, really scary because of that.
I wondered if, is it is part of the challenge of the negative market cycle, are tariffs a component of this right now?
Tariffs were a component last year, so on top of this historic, really 50-year high in the green bean market, you had these 10 and 15, 18% tariffs on top, just driving it further up. And you have, well, we won't buy anything from Brazil, which didn't affect equal exchange, but affected other people. But I would say they were kind of the icing on the cake.
Okay.
But the challenge of that is, so if we buy, so we're buying, 40,000 pounds of green coffee fits in a shipping container, and we're buying 100 or so of those throughout the year from different origins. So now all the coffee we're sitting on was bought at really high coffee prices plus the tariff prices on top of that, and that's our coffee for the next year. So even though people are like, oh, the coffee price has gone down, as Rink's saying, and it's like, well, part of our model is we're buying this volume from different origins, and then year over year we're able to blend last year's price and this year's price and offer something that's at a medium price that allows us to sell volume through bulk at the co-op or other means. But now it's getting much more difficult to manage those, like there's nothing to blend because there wasn't a lot of coffee last year, that's why the prices were so high. And so and the tariffs on top of it, in and of themselves, might not be as much of a problem, although they are just a gratuitous tax, which we're all paying to import and to buy and drink coffee, we're paying a tax on that. And yet, the farmers themselves aren't really getting the benefit from that, right? They would, I think, like to have enough stable volume to be able to sell at the $3 or $4 a pound, not the 5, 2, 3. But like this jumping around isn't helping anyone, certainly not consumers, not us, not the co-op. So it's a challenging business environment, and luckily we have this relationship where we can at least talk about it, which is important.
So what's the contractual relationship between Equal Exchange and the farmers that you're purchasing from?
There are contracts that basically say, we will buy 3 containers from you. You'll negotiate how many containers. You'll negotiate based on the market price, and you'll negotiate. So if you say, I'm going to buy 3 containers from you for May delivery, it's going to be 90 cents over the market price. And you have the option of striking versus the market price between now and the end of April. There's a lot of technical stuff there, but
Right.
Roughly that's what the contract would look like. So they're getting big premiums over the market, and even then it's still scary.
Regarding that, are you negotiating with the co-ops or with the farmers?
The co-ops. So the farmers are organized in usually primary co-ops, like your village, and then maybe 10 or 20 villages together have a secondary co-op, and that's who we're generally negotiating with.
And how do they organize?
In terms of,
How do farmers join their
it's a very strong cooperative system, back to like how do we have co-ops here? How do we have There are so few co-ops, you know, we got these co-op stores, we have Equal doing some things with a few other, how many co-op products in your store?
150 maybe?
Yeah, not enough, right? There, it's a much stronger model, right? So if you're in one of these coffee growing regions, the co-op would maybe be 30, 40, 50% of the coffee production in that area.
Oh, that high.
But which one was born first, the co-ops, and then Equal Exchange went there to the co-ops, or did they?
The co-ops have been there forever, yeah.
Are they same that deal with the big companies as well?
They'll deal with the big companies, they'll deal with other, they'd like to sell to a specialty coffee company, or maybe a Dutch company that maybe cares a little bit, or a German company that wants to be more sustainable, but they're going to sell ultimately to whoever they need to sell to.
Sometimes, even though they're growing organically, depends on the market, right? Sometimes they can't sell all their coffee as organic and fair trade, so they're selling to some of us at that premium, but they're selling to other people for, you know, they might be selling conventional, or otherwise you just have to move the product. So,
Even if it is organic.
yeah,
Right, so they're getting sort of taking advantage of some of that.
right. They might, it depends on the year.
Yeah.
How much of, in your experience, how much of the production is organic?
For the people we're working with, I'm going to say it's overwhelmingly organic at this point. That might not have been the case 15 years ago, but organic is extremely important for people's economics. And most of them strongly believe in that model as well.
I wonder if you want to talk about USAID in your program?
Sure. Nicole, do you want to give us?
I feel like I was sort of sit
I
off
want
to
to give
the
you a
side.
caveat.
Yeah.
I'm a former USAID employee
Okay.
who lost my job a year ago this month.
So sorry.
So I'm very interested in what you're
Yeah. Well, I guess I thought I was just gonna be like.
Rick and I are going to go. Let's Nicole now.
I just thought I would be very fun. I have a lot of feelings about this topic also, so I wanted to also put it on our agenda so that folks, you know, I know this is a Beltway crowd here as well, so I know this has affected a lot of people, and it certainly affected us. So we were part of a cooperative development program that is a USAID grant program. Other co-op businesses.
Was.
Sorry,
Was, yes.
yes, thank you. I'm still adjusting to that. And so for years, you know, and there was some trepidation, I think, on the part of Equal Exchange, like, did we really want to work with the US government on these grants? Was that something, I mean, a lot of the regions we're working in were challenging for, you know, School of the Americas, other things that we all know, which is the history in the region. So, however, it was real money, you know, and I think over the course of about 10 years that we were working with the Co-op Development Grant Program, it was upwards of $10 million that was available for co-op development, training, grants for farmers, and to really invest in everything we're talking about here. I mean, climate change is part of the reason coffee prices are so high now and scarcity is there. There's a huge problem of coffee roya, which is rust on the coffee plants themselves. And that's due to climate change. Temperatures now being hotter in the regions where coffee is grown. Coffee's grown at altitude, so that, you know, nighttime, daytime differential and a certain temperature is what keeps the plants healthy. And so farmers, you know, the nice thing about the grant is that it went towards a whole bunch of capacity building, right? Financial training, certain types of technical skill and training, but we had a fair amount of autonomy in the program as well. I mean, we had to gear it towards the programs, but we had a great staff of folks working in country, and there were many different regions we were working with in different co-ops. And people had really, after this these cycles of the grants, we'd really sort of gotten into a groove with the programs and working with the same co-ops over time and really investing in them. And so we were in the second year of a 5-year cycle as of February. And we had, programs were set up, staff had been hired, the monies had been distributed and
If I can just.
yeah, please.
For like, in a year, $1 million would come to Equal Exchange and $1 million would leave Equal Exchange to go on the field. Like, literally not a penny went to Equal Exchange, it was just all
Pass through, exactly. Which, $1 million of additional resources, like, as we're saying, the way we operate, we have a modest margin that we're making on these products. It's all predicated on volume, right? Volume flowing in. We roast the coffee ourselves, we package it ourselves, we sell it direct to co-op, no middlemen. We try to cut out any sort of like waste that is not needed in the supply chain wherever possible, and we operate on a pretty modest margin. That's how it works for us. So all of these non-commercial activities that we're talking about, like we would have to be, that would have to come out of our margin or the co-op's margin or somebody, like where are you gonna get technical training? Where are you gonna invest in new varieties? How are you gonna take time and space to experiment and invest in your farms and in climate change and the realities that you're presented with? That's what these grants did, right? And truly, it was jobs in country, it was capacity building, and as of literally, here we are, February, just
A year ago.
a year ago. Yep, just your contract is terminated, no warning,
illegally.
no explanation.
I feel your pain.
Yeah,
Right, no.
it's over,
No.
right?
So I would say, so speak illegal, like, what is illegal about it?
Well, we had a contract, back to what's a contract,
Yeah,
and we had to abide by certain things.
Yep.
The U.S. government, here's what you need to do. What did the U.S. government abide by? They just walked away, right? So
Yeah.
this pattern is, right, we have hundreds of examples of that, but we all felt that.
yeah,
And what Equal said is, we very quickly understood that money's just gone. Plus, if somehow it reappeared, we don't want to deal with these people. So we're going to replace that money. We don't have $1 million. Let's put in $200,000 and keep some of the key elements of that program. That's what we did, and we're still doing that.
And I would just add that with the collapse of USAID, which was the world's largest development builder, so fell the industry, so fell
yeah.
the NGOs, the
Exactly.
programs
Everything
like
that
yours.
was supporting, yeah. For not much money, and it's, quite frankly, our money, right? This is our money. These are our tax dollars that we all voted for our representatives to invest in these ways that are, for, in my opinion, for very small amounts of money that we're creating a lot of real benefit throughout the world. And so here we are, right? On the other side of that, and I think really what it also came down to for us is we were like, okay, well, and I think you were great, right? You were like, it's not coming back, because we all wanted to believe, it's this can't be real, right? Like we're in a dream, like something's gonna happen. Well, you were like, no, nothing's
Can you
happening.
get into the portal? What are they saying? Right.
Yeah.
It's insanity.
Yeah. Oh no, it's gonna be through the State Department, something, like the, right? So, and you were just like, nope, it's not coming back. We have got to pivot and like not waste our time in this and what can we do? And I will say Equal Exchange has an incredible community, right? Co-op community, faith-based community, a whole group of folks we call citizen consumers that are part of a sort of an activated group of our customers, members, longtime supporters, whatever, and folks donated money. It was like we have a web store, you could check a box. I mean, we were like, we're not an NGO, we are a for-profit, worker-owned co-op, mission-based company. We're not a nonprofit. So if you're giving to us, it's not tax deductible, there's nothing. And
We'll say that money will go there.
Yeah,
You have our word, and that's what we have to do.
yeah. And I think for us, just thinking about fire, like we'd have to let staff go in country, and they were like, we'll all share one job, you know, like, we understand, like, it's been cut, like, we'll figure it out, and that, just the reality of that, in and of itself, right, was so humbling that we were like, we have got to find a way to make this thing happen. And we don't have all the answers at all, you know, we had friends that were like, we have a nonprofit structure, would you like to take it over? And we were like, no, like, we're not, we actually are, we're gonna figure out how to make this part of our model, right? We work with consumer co-ops, and we put some of our non-commercial activities to that, and try to give some rebates to patronage and to co-ops, and share our profitability that way. And we're gonna invest in these non-commercial activities with producers too. And that's just part of who we are, and we'll be able to do it on our terms, right? Not the terms of the government contract that is no longer viable. But it's been humbling, right? Because we see there's only so many projects we can benefit, and we can keep going, but like, we're keeping going, you know? And now even one of the women who's on the staff is, you know, now part of our co-op, and we're expanding our reach, and just keep trying to stay out one step ahead of it, and keep being nimble and problem solving, and just moving ahead, you know? But again, we couldn't do it without the support that we get, and without the folks out there who want to feel like they're connected to something, and we can do something. But it's, yeah, sorry, you know? I feel like it's the insult.
Totally.
It's the insult too,
I'm sorry
that we
for
were
all
all
of this.
doing something wrong,
Yes.
right? Yeah. So I think it's important for us all to just be able to say,
What countries do you operate in, et cetera?
Guatemala, Honduras, yeah, Mexico, not really Central America.
yes,
Costa Rica, we used to, but we don't do much in Costa Rica. Panama and chocolate, but not in coffee.
Nicaragua?
Nicaragua, yep. Nicaragua
That
from the
was the
beginning.
start, yeah.
So that's been there the whole time.
Are you from, do you buy from co-ops in Okinawa?
I don't think, well, we're close. I'm not sure if we're there or not.
It's for a discussion.
Yeah, yeah. Crow Co-op, I don't know if you know.
What is it?
Crow Co-op, you know Crow Co-op? So I think it might be there. I think it might be.
I wonder if you want to talk for a minute about, so other countries that you buy from would be interesting, I think, and then also including your other products, so tea and nuts, and talk about coffee a lot, 'cause coffee's very important, but there's other things too that have the same pressures on them. Chocolate maybe more important than coffee. We have to argue with that.
I want to do one other thing. I want to do that. Also, the gentleman in the rear has a
Oh, okay.
question. So.
Yeah.
Just a quick question on the countries you operate in, especially in Central America. How much interference, quasi-involvement, do those governments impose upon operating there?
I would say not that much.
Okay.
Like it's, yeah, for the most part you can operate and you can do things regardless of what, you know, what the government is and how not good or
Yeah,
slightly okay it might be. That'd be my general thing.
okay.
So you're allowed to deal directly with cooperatives, and there's not a lot of heavy-handedness necessarily.
Yeah.
Commerce is happening.
Yeah.
well, and we also have products like Palestinian olive oil. We get dried mango from Burkina Faso, which is obviously a pretty challenging place to try to get products out of. So even if coffee regions now maybe aren't, you know, I don't know, Nicaragua obviously is a challenging environment. They all are, right? But there's particular areas now that it's shocking sometimes that it's like, how are we getting these shipments? Like, you know, but it's, I think, just the almighty commerce dollar there, and luckily through our trade, that's able to get back to the farmer groups and the other people that are working on the ground there, which kind of greases the wheels of all the operations that need to happen. So sorry.
Thank you.
I think where I want to go, and I know there's still products we can talk about out there, that Equal Exchange did knock on the door of you know, a group of co-ops across the country, and Greenbelt is one of those co-ops, and we are really appreciative of Greenbelt. So yeah, let's try to do something, and we're trying to find some new ways to work together, right? And so it's super exciting to have this space with you guys and to learn more about your community. And I think our goal is to find new imaginative ways to build the cooperative model. So I want you guys to know that Greenbelt's doing some amazing work. Support them even more than you already are. And then I would want all of us to find new ways to build what we're doing, right? And that's really why we're here, but this is why we're here for the conversation. I just wanted to point that out. That's why this is happening.
Yeah, so there's a couple, this is not a multi-level marketing group or anything, but there are things you can do. You can join the Citizen Consumer Group for Equal Exchange. That's easy, and you send emails out once in a while.
Yeah, we do webinars, so all the stuff we're talking about, we try to bring the people themselves to, like we had one on our dried mango program from Burkina and folks from the factory there were showing.
And the AID, the X,
Yep.
what's happening.
And we had done updates about that for people that did donate and invest. And we just did one, we merged with our sister co-op up in Canada as of January 1st. And they're a co-op, we're a co-op, and we talked about how we merged and how the nuts and bolts of that. We just did that last week. So there's a lot of educational content, but also just person-to-person type stories and like how we can talk about, I mean, a lot of stuff we're talking about here, like co-op supply chain, but it's sort of like, what does that actually mean, right? And so these are like the nuts and bolts of how it actually.
But it is real. That's the
Yeah.
thing. Ultimately, it actually really affects a lot of people.
Yeah.
But you can't, it's not easy to see it, but what this store is doing has huge impact that you really no other store that's not a co-op would have, I would say. And that's something to be incredibly proud of and something we need to keep communicating and developing our network.
Yeah, so then.
What is the store doing? Like,
Well, so-
besides selling their
I mean,
products?
mostly, so we're a consumer cooperative, and our job is to sell products. Like
Right.
that's the way that we provide services to our members through purchasing and promoting products. But specifically, like in our case, since I've been here, a stronger push towards cooperative brands, local brands. Those are probably the two, to me, being not the smartest guy ever, is like those are two really direct things that we can do to make a difference. So we make a difference to our neighbors, we make a difference to, we can't grow chocolate and coffee here, so we make connections through Equal Exchange and other good companies to connect with our neighbors and farther away neighbors. And so I think those are the main ways where we feature and focus on those things in a way that other companies don't. They may carry some of the same stuff, though I don't know anybody else does carry Equal Exchange or not around here. But we have the opportunity to do that in a way that other places don't, and an authentic way of doing that. I think as part of our model, we get to decide that's what we want to promote, is cooperative economics in particular. I think the other thing I was going to say is that if you do belong to a church group that does like coffee and things, there's a really great interfaith program that they have where you can kind of connect. So like you're buying coffee from whoever, I mean you can buy it from Greenbelt Co-op, that's cool. But if you're buying in quantity from somebody else and you want to buy it from Equal Exchange, that's another method that can help put your money where your mouth is from a faith-based standpoint. If you stand for caring for your neighbors, buying Equal Exchange coffee or something like that is a good choice and an easy way to kind of make a difference. Coffee people drink a lot, or church people drink a lot of coffee, so it's a chance to kind of connect there. Let's do questions for a little while, I think.
Yes.
I just have a really softball one.
Oh,
Do
good.
you all have something similar to a church program that could be directed to just full-on corporate? Like the bigger companies who really drink a lot of coffee and are buying from some multinational, like people who just buy crappy coffee for their lunchroom.
Does Equal Exchange have that?
Does Equal Exchange have a program?
We have and we can do that for sure. You run into all these technical things, right? You need to like, who owns the machinery and who does the
Right.
servicing and who's the buyer? But literally, are we capable of solving that problem? Yeah. If there's someone on your end who has the interest, we can solve this.
But I mean, there's not already a program in place similar to, like Pam was mentioning, like your church group.
There's bits and pieces of it here and there. Like there might be 50 workplaces across the country that have a meaningful program, would be my guess. Okay.
And I think there is the website, right, that we promoted a month or so ago.
Yes.
So like you can go to Equal Exchange and buy in quantity, and you can put in I think Greenbelt, it might be the code.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
And we get a portion about what we would get from selling it, maybe even better than selling it in the store. And if you're buying in quantity, you could do that. So if you have a workplace or a larger group that's doing that, that's an easy way to get products that are already kind of consumer oriented that Equal Exchange does, for sure.
Dan, were you going to talk about that for us in Greenbelt, or do we go to the Equal Exchange website?
If Equal Exchange website, you can do it, and I think there's like a coupon code, like when you check out, and you can say Greenbelt, and then they recognize it and give us.
So we don't have to know a secret number like
Just
1937?
Greenbelt, I think. I'll double check on that.
I will double check on that too. I wish I thought I should have double checked that before I came. But I guess I do want to give a plug then for that as well in terms of like alternative distribution, right? So we're talking about sort of co-op to co-op, from farmer to us to Greenbelt, but like the alternative is, so Greenbelt is a cooperatively owned grocery store, right? So it can't be bought and sold like every other grocery store that's around here, right? So like when you're shopping at Whole Foods, you're benefiting Amazon, right? Like when you're shopping at Costco, you're benefiting a giant corporation. However do-goody they are a giant corporation that is not based in your community, right? So this is employing local people in the community and also keeping community dollars in the community. So when you're a consumer member of Greenbelt Co-op, your membership fee that you give to the co-op, or if the co-op's doing a capital raise and you're giving a member a loan, like that money is at work in your community all around you. And you have a say in it as well. And like, where else is that, like where else do we have a say, right? There was just a giant merger. Kroger and Albertsons was gonna merge because they're like, we have to be as big as Walmart. Like, Walmart wouldn't even actually exist if it wasn't all of our tax dollars that are going to subsidize workers there and tax breaks there and new store. So like, it's a rigged system, our grocery system, and it's our food, just like our healthcare and other things that are, really, we don't have much power in these situations. And these are situations in which, through this humble co-op program that is right now, what, like, how much is NCG? I mean, in the course of a year, it's like $2 billion is
Yeah.
like the full,
Right.
$2 billion is the
Across
co-op.
all the co-ops
food
that are part of
economy,
that.
all the co-ops across the country, just from members, going in there and buying food, $2 billion. Now, that dwarfs, like the Walmart is selling more groceries than that in like, a couple months. But anyway, like that's not nothing, right? And so Equal Exchange with our, the banana business that we have, the Canadian co-op business, as we merge and sort of keep trying to grow in different ways, we're getting, we're like $80 million, which, is not chump change to farmers, and the money we're paying for coffee and returning in social premium and otherwise, like, it is making a difference. And so it may feel like a small thing here in Greenbelt, but I guess what we're trying to represent is nationally, you are, however many members there are of Greenbelt?
About 5,000, yeah.
Okay, so there's like, across the country, hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, hundreds of thousands
of people that you are connected to, right? And then all the farmers that are part of our co-ops, as Ring said, thousands of coffee farmers or whatever, like we together all really are an alternative economy. And that is super powerful. No one's talking about it, right? And so like that's part of why we want to be here too, just talking about it, because it is a dark time, right? And I think we all do feel kind of powerless for like the things we can change, and that the corporate system is rigged against us. And like there are things that we can do like this. And like, but we would not be here if it weren't for folks like you. Greenbelt would not be here if it weren't for folks that saw value in this and are rooted where they are and are members and active members. And so, thank you for that. And like, it's really important. And maybe you're not always feeling it. Maybe we're not always feeling it when we're there worrying about, is the truck gonna show up? Is the coffee roasted properly? You know, like there's a billion things we're worried about, but like this is what gives us the sort of fuel to do this, and 100 worker owners that we own a business with. Equal exchange could have been bought and sold a million times over for big money, right? As was Keurig, the Keurig machine in those office buildings. That was once an independent company in Vermont that then got bought by a massive, you know, it's now a massive conglomerate. And so, yeah, it can be done another way, but we just have to keeping the faith on that.
Yeah, and I think it does matter, to see your question, just that, you know, it sort of even seems trite, but a lot of small choices add up to these big choices. That means that, you know, equal exchange can exist and have its impact. It means that our food co-ops across the country can have impact, and we can have impact across, you know, in our towns, in our states, in the country, and in the world when we make these better choices. And I think one of the things that I really like, food's really important. It's central to our lives. I think what I have always tried to do in my career is like give people that like easy little ramp to like their better choice. And so like you can buy whatever you want. Like I'm never going to judge your grocery basket as long as you're buying from the co-op. I don't care what you buy. But I'm going to help nudge you towards companies that are making a difference and towards particularly cooperative companies, because I know that they're foundationally about making a difference, and they're not going to be bought and sold and you know, to turn into Amazon or whoever else. And that is important, I think, because we have more control and more access to those folks, and we have better transparency with those folks. All the things that we want to have, we have because we're working with cooperatives and other good companies, and we can do that. So it's really important. Question there, then I got a question over here.
Well, you mentioned bananas, and I was going to ask you if you do bananas, but didn't the co-op used to carry their bananas?
Yeah, so we're kind of in between a little bit of, we've expanded to more organic bananas, and we're going to transition likely to the equal exchange bananas, but we're not quite there yet. We also think avocados too.
But you used to have them though.
We had them intermittently, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, but so we're more committed to having organic bananas period now, which has been good. And then we're going to try to get more fair trade component in the banana system, and avocados is the other one.
Well,
So-
for some reason, I developed an allergy to bananas,
Oh.
like maybe 10 years ago,
Okay.
but I wasn't allergic to
A
the
lot of chemicals in the
yeah.
banana.
And then when they switched over to like organic dole,
Yeah.
which I was just like, ah. And nope, I can't eat them.
Huh. Well, I think you'll see fair trade, equal exchange here pretty
And it's
shortly.
lucky that the distribution network here is a solid one. So you can always have that in different areas of the country, but hopefully we can.
Yeah, we can never get into Texas. That's right.
Yeah.
She spent how many years? 12
All
years?
these gray hairs, yeah, 15 years on the
Working on
banana business.
getting bananas
Yeah,
together.
yeah, but Four Seasons Produce is a Mennonite
That's
company
right.
in Pennsylvania. and
They're our main produce supplier.
And they
aside from
they
local
took a
stuff.
chance on us
Yeah.
when not many people would. And again, it was because folks said, we will support it and we will pay 10 cents more a pound, which people were
Absolutely.
like, no one wants to pay 10 cents more a pound, everyone wants to pay less. But we really did, yeah, it's very inspiring. I mean, it was super hard, but super inspiring too. And I'm glad you're not the first person to say that also, it just makes you realize, just like, people are like, oh, but it's the skin. I'm like, but you're touching. Like,
Yeah, I
a
don't know
kid
what it is.
A
If I'm
kid is
outside of
eating
the
that.
United States, I can eat bananas
Yeah.
everywhere.
A lot
It's
of
crazy.
chemicals.
I
It's the
can go to,
second
like,
most
to the-
toxic product after cotton.
I can go to the other, like the little like ethnic groceries or
Yep.
whatever and get the little red bananas
Yep.
or whatever.
Yep.
Allergic to them. If they're in the United States, I'm allergic to
Wow.
them except for these bananas. I was
Wow,
allergic to.
well, very much appreciate that. I will send the word back. They're always happy to hear a personal story. Yeah.
Amber, I think you had a question?
The code for the Equal Exchange website is GC member,
Great.
one word.
Yes,
God
thank
for
you.
Amber.
And you need, if you put in that code, they'll Equal Exchange will send the Greenbelt Co-op 20% of your.
Yes,
Awesome.
GC member, yeah.
Right, yeah, so
Yeah, I
that's
can
good.
tell you, we've stumbled over that a couple times, and people are like, it's not the right code. I'm like, oh, why are we making this hard on
It's in
ourselves?
the co-op chat.
Thank you.
And it was in my weekly email, you should sign up for it.
Thank you.
Sorry, Dan.
And then
You
if,
I-
should just
I
named
didn't
it
know
Greenbelt, next time, next
Yeah,
time.
that's, we like.
if you do that and you say, yes, I'd like to become a citizen consumer, then you'll get emails, hey, we're having a webinar on this, or this, we're having our annual summit in June, come to Equal Exchange. We will pay for your food and lodging, meet a bunch of other people from across the country. So it's a way to, just like you guys have a co-op community, Equal Exchange has had to build consumers into our co-op community too. Basically make this work, you know?
Where is your summit?
It's
At
in
Wheaton College.
West Bridgewater,
Massachusetts?
Mass,
Yeah.
Okay.
Eastern Mass. Well, we're
Get
West
you some
Bridgewater.
good
and down the
oysters
street.
while you're up there.
Yeah, you get oysters.
Uh-huh. Personal tour of an oyster farm if you
Two
come
guys.
up.
Anybody else questions? I'd like to ask, much of what you've talked about is the import market. And as we were talking before the meeting, my interest is aquaculture, which
Yep.
according to USDA, we are farmers. We are farmers, we have
Yep.
leases, et cetera. Well, I'll give you a very specific example. A lot of the aquaculture people, or the watermen in the Chesapeake Bay area, are disappointed with wholesalers and the price they're paying for
Yeah.
blue catfish. I mean, there's numerous things, but that's a great example. There is a tremendous demand in Singapore for blue cat. And the Maryland Department of Agriculture, their marketing department is really having a hard time getting over there. So my question to you is, you've talked a lot about import. Have you ever considered the export market?
Yes, we've considered it.
And for representing, now you'd be on the other end of the fence on this time, because you would be
Right.
representing the farmers here.
Correct. It'd be the other side of the fence, that's exactly what it is. I want us to invest in things and take risks and do things together. I'm too scared to do that, but thank you. That's a good
Well, I
idea.
mean, we've
It's a
got
really
it
good
on the
idea.
front. I mean, the reason why these wholesalers aren't, they can't get fishermen to do this work, why? Because they don't pay them anything.
That's true.
I
The
mean,
world,
it's
that's
just-
exactly
it's
what the
just-
system
But in
is.
Singapore,
Yeah.
they've got some fish called SRAI, S-R-A-I,
Yep.
that they don't want, and they want this blue cat. But, I mean, they're not gonna pay, I mean, I can't sell it, I can't, I mean, I don't have the resources.
You are essentially are a coffee farmer. That's exactly their
Exactly what
dilemma.
I am.
They're like, the
But
market's
I
here,
want
I'm getting
somebody
paid
to
this.
represent me
Yeah, you need that.
on a larger scale, and I know 15 guys that would sell to you right now.
Yep.
I
think you gotta talk to Dan. I think
Took-
Dan's your guy here.
You took your card, well,
We're
we're trying to get you to
consumer
the
grocery
cafe
cooperative.
first, and
Yeah,
then we'll. and
you
then
guys
we'll
gotta
do the
build that.
cafe.
You gotta build
But I do
that.
think, I mean, that's what I was thinking, that it's a cooperative, like the farmers getting together for a cooperative is a step. And I think there are some resources out there for people to form cooperatives around agriculture or aquaculture theoretically, so.
We have fishermen up in Rhode Island that are, that banded together and have the fish CSA. And they have stalled at the farmer's market, and they sell shares, and my brother's like, why are we spending this much for this fish? And I'm like, dude, have you walked outside? Have you talked to any of those guys lately about what it's costing them? Diesel fuel, boats, crews, so it's raising awareness, right? We have a cheap food system that is only cheap for the end consumer, right? And I know we're all experiencing food inflation now, so I don't say that lightly, but I think for a while we're subsidizing it in different ways that we don't totally understand, and we don't understand the effects of that on communities. So it's a good point, there's all different kinds of cooperatives that are
It is,
out there,
it is.
and you'll see them everywhere. I mean, once you start opening your eyes, I'm like, oh my God, there's a daycare cooperative, like in my, in the next town over that I didn't even know was there, right? There are real estate cooperatives, we're in one, right? Like, so it's like,
Your
it's
summit
like,
is in June?
yes.
Okay.
You've got our cards.
Okay.
So yeah, June 13th. And we have it at the local college, at Wheaton College, and we put people up in the dorms and other places, but not in the dorms, so if you really want to
You can put
revisit
yourself
your
up in a
college.
hotel, we'll put you in the dorm.
Uh-huh,
That's-
exactly,
All right,
exactly.
so
Yeah,
I would
it's a fun
say,
time.
let's call this a wrap on the program.
Yeah.
You should get some tea and chocolate. I'd like to see all that chocolate bits eaten, so that's your job.
Yes.
And then we'll hang out. If you want to come talk to us, that's cool. But we said it'd be done at 8, and so it's a little after 8.
Wonderful.
Yes.
But we're happy to hang out up here if you want to talk more, but feel free to get up and leave or get some chocolates or whatever.
Can you repeat the reference to the new address?
Yeah, it's equalexchange.com, right?
Yes, if you go to our
Equalexchange.com.
website, you can see there's a place to, it'll say resources, and you can sign up for instant consumer emails, and then it will also take you to a place that will have more information about the summit. And I'll give you my card too, just in case.